Hello YouTube and welcome to HeathenHacks. Are you getting tired of bending over or kneeling down just to turn off your desktop speaker because the power switch is located at the back of the subwoofer which is under your table? Or perhaps getting tired of pulling out the speaker jack and inserting your headphone at the back or the front I/O of your desktop computer because your speaker does not have a headphone port? Say no more. I got you fam. Introducing my 2-in-1 power and toggle switch box. Let's go. On the first part of the video, we will need the following things: a project box, enclosure, cardboard box, or anything you can find at your disposal. For now, I will use an old cheese box container that I have found inside the cupboards. I will do an update once the project box that I ordered arrives. A Sharpie or a pen for marking the cutout or drill points, a masking tape for markings, and a ruler. Now that we have made our markings, let's proceed to the second part. Here are the things that we will need: a hand drill for drilling holes, a Dremel or cutter or something that you can use to cut the material of the enclosure that you will be using, a couple of drill bits with varying sizes, and some basic Dremel bits for making cutouts and other things. There are different ways to make a square-ish cutout. Do whatever makes you feel more in control. I used a 3mm drill bit to make holes on the angles of the cutout mark. I will be using my Dremel to cut out the squarish holes on the top of my enclosure. Now that the cutout is done, I'm going to test fit the switch. Looks like I need to make some adjustments. Test fit 2 is successful. Time to make a hole for the toggle switch. I'm using the 3mm drill bit to make the first hole, then changing it to a 9mm bit. I'll be using a grindstone bit to enlarge the hole a little, because apparently my hand drill can fit a 10mm drill bit. Test fit 1 needs more adjustment. Test fit 2. There you go. Now, time to mask the box for the drill points. The locations of the drill points or holes depends on your preference. I'll make a center hole on the front for the headphone jack. 2 holes on the left for the in and out points of the power switch and 2 holes at the back for the input and speaker jack port. Changing the drill bit back to 3mm. Time to make some holes. Now that the pre-drilled holes are done, I will use a 9mm one to make them larger. Test fitting the ports. Alright, time to sign them up a bit. I will remove these things first. Now that we're done with sanding and test fitting, let's proceed to the third part of the video. These are the things that we will use. A sandpaper with varying grits to smoothen the drill holes. A soldering iron. Soldering wire. A KCD4 switch with 4 terminals. A double pole double throw toggle switch, also known as DPDT, with 6 terminals. A wire cutter. A 3.5mm audio Y splitter with 2 female ports. An extra 3.5mm cable. Some zip ties just in case. Electrical tape. Pair of scissors, and some super glue just in case. This is the box with just the power and toggle switch installed. These two are the in and out ports for the wires that are going to be connected to the power switch. This is for the headphone jack. And these two are for the input and speaker jack. I'm going to sand it up a little bit. Remove the masking tape. And proceed on sanding again. Time to sand the other holes. Now that the sanding and fitting part is done, it's time to move on to the fourth part of the video, the wiring of stuff. But first, I'm going to unbox this generic third hand or helping hands tool with magnifying glass for soldering. This is from VC Electronics. Look, there's even a free coin cell battery. The setup is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, now we need to connect the wires necessary on this toggle switch. I don't need to solder it since there are screws that will hold the wires. We need to loosen the screws a little bit to make some space for the wires. Now we need to get the 3.5mm jack from this auxiliary cable. And gently open it up or cut pieces of it little by little until we find the terminals where the wires will be soldered. Alright, now that we have reached the part of the jack where the terminals are located, it's time to remove the wires that are connected to it and replace them with our slightly bigger ones. The wires that are in here are colored red and green for the left and right channels and black for the ground. Time to remove the wires that are connected to the jack. I will remove the replacement wires out of their outermost sleeve. On the replacement wire, the red and white wires will be the left and right channels, and the exposed wire is the ground. Now it's time to solder the replacement wires on the stereo jack which will receive the input from my computer. I will connect it on the middle terminal of the toggle switch by tightening the screws. Then, I will cut off the two female 3.5mm jacks from the Y splitter and do the same thing I did on the male jack, which is cutting pieces of it little by little until I reach the terminals. Time to solder the replacement wires. I will just repeat what I did earlier. Now that the soldering is done on the first female jack, just as before, I will connect it on either side of the toggle switch. I remove the wires to connect them more snugly by making a hook. Just like the first one before it, you just need to do the same thing on the second female jack. Also, don't forget to connect the 3 ground wires together. So I just tested it and it turns out that it is a defective unit.
Disappointed!
Now I need to reconnect the wires again. Alrighty, time to test the toggle switch. This auxiliary cable that is connected to the female jack is connected to the speaker, and the other female jack is connected to the in-ear headphones. Now, as you can see here, the toggle switch is at the middle, meaning it is turned off. So when I play some music, there will be no sound. Now I will turn the switch to the right where the wires for the female jack is connected. The input from the PC will go out to the speaker which is connected to the female jack. Now that I switch it to the left side, the input will go out to the second female jack where the in-ear headphones are connected. The toggle switch wiring is done. It's time to take our trusty old speaker, cut the wire that it needs for power and connect it to the KCD4 power switch. This is the speaker wire. I will cut it for about 1 foot from the plug. This bigger wire is from an old extension cord. I will twist them together, but first, I need to take the sleeve off like this. I learned that from an electrician when I was a kid. I will measure it and cut it the same way as the speaker wire. Our electrician before said that the reason behind this method is so it won't short out even if the wires got exposed because they would not touch each other. Time to solder. For added protection, I'm going to wrap it in electrical tape. This wire is connected to the plug, which I will solder to the KCD4 switch. I will solder it to the off terminal. The bottom one is the off terminal. Remember, before you solder anything to the switch, make sure that the wire you will solder is already inserted or already inside the box. I will solder this wire here. Now that the bottom or off terminal is secure enough, it's time to solder the wire on the top terminal. Just need to repeat the steps before. Make a hook it to the terminal and solder it. After that, you can either use a shrink wrap or anything to cover the terminals. I will use a glue gun since it's what I have. As you can see here, the power switch and the speaker is now lighting up when I turn it on. The first test is successful. Now I will cut the wire and insert it to the hole that will lead outside the box. Then, cut another wire and solder it to the wire that is connected to the plug to make it a bit longer. After soldering, just like before, I will now wrap it with electrical tape. I will use the glue gun again to secure the soldered wires on the 3 audio jacks. Remember to cover all the terminals. Now that it's done, it's time to solder the ground wires together. After that, I will insert the toggle switch on its rightful place, just like this. It's almost done. All we need to do now is insert the 3 audio jacks on the 3 holes that we created. Again, the method on how you will do it depends on you. This female jack on the front will be my headphone port. I will use glue gun again to secure the audio jacks in place. The one on the left side at the back of the temporary enclosure will be the other female jack where the speaker will be connected. Now, this male 3.5mm jack will be on the right side at the back of the case. This will be the input and will be connected to an extension jack which will be connected to the back I/O of the computer. Yeah, I know, it does not look pretty. But if you will use a solid or a non-transparent case or enclosure, no one will ever notice what's inside. Well, not unless you make a how-to video. Okay, just a recap. This is the headphone port, the speaker port, and this is the input jack. Again, this is the power switch and toggle switch. I will flip the toggle switch to the direction of the speaker port. This is where the input is gonna come from. The 3.5mm male audio jack will be connected to the extension. This green jack is connected to the speaker port. And this is, quite obviously, the headphone port. Alrighty, let's turn on the music, shall we? This time, the sound is coming out from the speaker. Also, I made this track when I was still playing Dota 2. This is the headphone I will be using. My trusty old Sennheiser HD205. Fun fact, this is the first thing that I bought using my first paycheck way back 2014. Trying out the power switch. the toggle switch. I will try and power off the speaker and just use the headphone.
Shade off. Toggle here.
And there you go. Test complete.